Welcome back. Resource efficiency has something for everyone. It helps us do more with less by reducing the use of energy, materials, and water in our everyday operations. This session's objective is to discuss low carbon and green business perspective for the Western Balkans, with special focus on Montenegro. Panel moderator is Mr. Ivan Savelic, Vice President of the Chamber of Economy of Montenegro. Mr. Savelic, izvolite.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Fioretto?
Yes, thank you for having me, and congratulations to the organization, which has been perfect so far. A few comments, keeping in mind the resource efficiency, although usually I prefer to be more wide in discourse on sustainability. Talking the cost of transition, I would rather talk about the cost of non-transitioning to sustainability, because that would be a huge cost. And also, yes, I work mainly with businesses, so of course I have to talk about cost savings. But when we talk about sustainable development, we can also talk about more and new revenue streams, because there's a lot of new revenue streams that can be activated through sustainable development of our economy and societies. And I think that this is very important in order to sell the concept of sustainable development. And you may notice I talk about sustainable development and not about green growth. Because about growth, what kind of growth we want? Do we want a growth in GDP? For me, it's an absolutely meaningless way of measuring prosperity of society. Or we want growth in health and happiness of our populations. Do we want growth in turnover of our companies? Or do we want growth in the value that our companies generate? Do we want growth in production of stuff, or do we want growth in satisfaction of the needs of our customers and our citizens of our societies? So we have to define it a little bit better. So I prefer to talk about sustainable development. And talking from the business side, for me, sustainable development and the pursuit of sustainable development goals is first and foremost a huge set of opportunities for societies, of course, but also for businesses. And there are many, many examples and testimonies around that are confirming this. And I want just to quote two very relevant examples. One of the so-called front runners in sustainability, I'm not advertising that, but it's Unilever, is well known as one of the front runners of sustainability. And from their data, we know that 60% of their growth as a company is guaranteed by a line of production, which is the sustainable living line of production, and they are very strictly adhering to the SDGs and other international recognized parameters of sustainability. And this line of production is growing 50% faster than the rest of the business. So this is a business company. They're going after value generation and profit and benefit for their shareholders too. So this is one. And the other one about resource efficiency. Please keep in mind that resource efficiency doesn't mean a sacrifice in the quality of our lives. It can very often mean much better quality in our life. And I quote from a case history of a British company producing cosmetics, soap, shampoo, and this kind of stuff. And they were producing it very traditionally. So you got plastic bottles with liquid shampoo in. And they started the sustainability journey, and they challenged themselves not about how could we do with less plastic packaging, but how could we do, sorry, the microphone is not working appropriately. Is there anyone coming, or? Yes, please. So the situation is that they were challenging themselves It very often happens to me. Please?
Okay, okay.
Is it working? Not very much, but. So they took on this very hard challenge, and they came out with the solid shampoo. That is a very popular product today in the field. And they became, from a small startup company, they now are a global company in the field. And the fact is that talking about logistics, which is another very important aspect of climate change and the impact of products and human activities, before that, what took 7 trucks to deliver a certain quantity of their products now takes just 1 truck to deliver the same amount of hair washing capacity. So this is how companies can become more profitable, more resource efficient, but I think we as the business sector, we have a responsibility to be more daring and to have very ambitious objectives. And today is the time that we have huge and splendid opportunities ahead of us. I don't want to sound too optimistic. I'm scared. So we are living scary times, but we are also living exciting times full of opportunities, and we must remember this.
Okay, we'll just skip for the moment your introduction, and then with you.
Yeah. Talking about resource efficiency, I will point out 2 very important resources that we are wasting, and that's been done mostly overall, and in my country, which is Italy, it's done, unfortunately, a lot. It's women and the young generations. I mean, women are all for almost about half of humanity, a bit more, it should be. And generally speaking, they are better than men in creating new models, new ideas, and that's all we need to implement sustainable development. I don't mean it's a woman thing, but there are too few women in decision-making positions and in the leadership positions around the world. So
and on the stage.
And yes, of course, in the panels there have been very few, although significant, but too few women present. And the young generations. Young generations have brilliant minds, but we have to take care of them. We have to recognize they have different thought patterns, different attitudes. They are more apt than my generation, for instance, for the current times, but we tend to give the young generation too few power to develop their capacity. And talking about this, we need in our organization, of course, I subscribe entirely to what Dr. Vogt was saying, new business model, but new leadership models, because the so-called millennial generation tends to work differently, and we need to give them more mentoring, more positive and constructive feedback in our relationship, and we need more horizontal and agile and flexible organization. And finally, calling to the responsibility of governments, we need a lot of innovation in educational models. We are still running 1,800 educational models, but that does not work with the current times. And a final word I will say about the possibilities and perspectives for Montenegro, although I'm not an expert in the issues about this nation, but I know that you have a significant part of your economy which is based on tourism, because it's a beautiful country, and sustainability is becoming a key factor in the attractiveness of touristic infrastructure. And in 5 years, it's calculated by the most important business intelligence institution around the world in tourism, sustainability of a hotel, for instance, is going to be the first decision-making argument for the choice, especially of prime customers. So definitely it's a transition that is a very good investment to quote Professor Oberle from the beginning, and not a cost. This is a very wise business investment opportunity. So I wholeheartedly encourage Montenegro to pursue this.
Thank you.